Welcome to this class again, dear students. I know by now you're acquainted with the online classes that you have been getting. Since we are in the third phase of lockdown, we need to continue with this style of classes. So today we will be discussing on the chapter Human Reproduction, that is chapter 3 in your book. In this class, we are exclusively going to talk about how the process of reproduction takes place in human beings. In the previous chapters, that is chapter 1 and chapter 2, we have discussed about the two modes of reproduction, that is asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. We also talked about sexual reproduction in plants. But today we will not be discussing about the reproduction in plants or animals, but we will only be talking about the reproduction in human beings. Now, as we know, that reproduction is the process by which living organisms produce new organisms similar to themselves. You know that it is only through reproduction that we get the new organisms, and the new organisms that we get are similar to ourselves. So in case of human beings, all are born. We are all given birth by our mothers, and the process continues. That's how more and more reproduction takes place. It also happens in all other animals. The basic concept of sexual reproduction remains the same in all animals. The steps of sexual reproduction also remains the same for all animals. However, the difference between human beings and animals is in the structure of the reproductive system. That is, the way the reproductive organs are arranged in humans is different from that of a fish, a giraffe, or a cow. Now let's see the mode of reproduction. The mode of reproduction in human beings is sexual reproduction, and it is the only mode of reproduction. That means no other mode of reproduction takes place. Like we have discussed about sexual and asexual reproduction in plants, but in case of human beings, we have the only mode of reproduction, and that is the sexual reproduction. Now let's see what is puberty in males. Now you might be asking, when does it happen? Or since we're talking about reproduction in human beings, do human beings continue to reproduce throughout their lives? Obviously not, because we know there are certain phases in our lives where we have to go through certain stages, then we reach the reproductive stage. So there are basically 3 stages in the life of a human being. That is the juvenile stage, the reproductive stage, and the aging stage. So you have to first reach the reproductive stage to be able to reproduce. Now, when a baby is born, the baby is obviously very small, and the baby will not be able to reproduce. So the baby has to reach a certain age where it can attain the puberty and where it can start reproducing. So what is puberty? Puberty is nothing but another name for adolescence. So what happens in adolescence or in puberty? You will see that your physical growth will stop, but you will start increasing or growing in all the reproductive organs. So let's see what happens in the puberty. Number 1, seminiferous tubules start producing sperms, and the enlargement of scrotum and penis, broadening of shoulders, increased development of bones and muscles, growth of hair on the body and face, deepening of voice, and increase in height. This we're talking only about males. We will also be talking about females later. So you see, this is what happens when a male reaches his puberty stage. And it is only after all this happens then you are, or a male is ready to reproduce. Now let's see the human reproductive organs. We have basically 2 types of reproductive organs. One is known as the primary sex organs, and the other is known as the secondary sex organs. The primary sex organs are called gonads, and they give rise to sex cells or gametes and secrete hormones. In males, gonads are called testes. They produce male gametes, that is the sperm, and the male hormone called testosterone. And in females, gonads are represented by ovaries. They produce the female gametes, that is the eggs or ova, and the female hormones called estrogens. So we know that both male and female reproductive organs have gonads, and the male sex organs will be producing the sperm and the hormone testosterone, and the female primary sex organ will be producing the female gametes, that is the eggs or ova, and the female hormones called estrogens. Now, what is the function of the testosterone? It maintains the secondary sexual character of the male, and in a similar manner, estrogen also maintains the secondary sexual character in females, and also controls the menstrual cycle in females. Now we'll see the secondary or accessory sex organs. The male secondary sex organs are prostate glands, seminal vesicles, epididymis, Cowper's gland, vasa differentia, urethra, and penis. And the female secondary sex organs are fallopian tubes, uterus, vagina, vestibular glands, and mammary glands. Now, before we talk about this secondary sex organs in male and female, let's see what does the secondary or accessory sex organs means. They are nothing but the organs which assist in reproduction but neither produce gametes nor secrete sex hormones. That means they are very much important because they will assist in the reproduction. However, they will not produce gametes, neither will they secrete any sex hormones. But that does not mean these organs are not important. They are equally important. So before we understand the process of gametogenesis, that is how male gametes and female gametes are formed, it is important to understand the structure of the reproductive system, because until and unless we know the structure of the reproductive system, we will not be able to understand how the gametes are produced. So let us first try to understand the male reproductive system today. Today we will be discussing only on the male reproductive system. So this is how the reproductive part looks like in human males. Let's look the important parts that forms the male reproductive system. What is the first one? The first one is the testis. Can you find the testis in the diagram? Yes, this is the testis. It is the most important organ of the male reproductive system. How does it occur? It occurs in pairs. And what is its function? Its function is to produce sperms and to secrete a hormone called the testosterone, which helps in maintaining the secondary sexual characters. Next is the scrotum. Where do you see the scrotum? This is the scrotum. The scrotum holds the testis from inside. It is, what is it? It is an extension of abdominal cavity containing testes. That means it holds the testes. And you know why is it necessary for the testes to be outside? It is because sperm production needs a temperature that is little lower than the body, and if the testis remains inside, it will not be able to produce sperm. So in order to be able to produce sperm, it has to remain outside. And the function of scrotum is to protect testis and maintain temperature lower than the body. See, the function of the scrotum is to protect the testis, because if the testis is not protected, the sperm will not be produced, and if the sperm will not be produced, no reproduction will take place. Hence, it is important to protect the testis, and it also helps in maintaining the temperature lower than the body. I've already told you why the temperature needs to be maintained lower than the body. And next is, we will see the next part. That is the epididymis. What is it? Where do you see the epididymis? This is the epididymis. What is it? It is a complex tube-like structure that is present in the scrotum. And what is its function? Its function is to store sperms and helps in the passage of sperms. That means sperms actually comes out of the testis and enters into the epididymis. And the epididymis will store the sperm temporarily, and as and when required, it will keep on passing the sperms. So the main function of epididymis is for storage and passage of sperms. Next, we will see the vas deferens. Where is the vas deferens? Yes, this is the vas deferens. It is a tube-like structure. So you see it looks like a tube, and it emerges from the lower part of the epididymis. This is the epididymis, and from this part starts the vas deferens. And it opens to the ejaculatory duct. Now, what is ejaculatory duct? Before we see the ejaculatory duct, we have to see what does ejaculation means. Ejaculation means giving out sperms to the outside, and the duct which does this ejaculation is known as ejaculatory duct. So that means it is that this vas deferens will help in releasing or in giving out sperms to the outside. Then next we have the penis. Penis, where do you find the penis? Now this is the penis. Okay. Now, what is this? It is a muscular copulatory organ. Muscular, why is it called muscular? Because it enables to make movements. It is able to make movements because it has muscles in it. And why is it called copulatory organ? Because it is the main organ by which intercourse is done. That is, it helps in the sexual intercourse between the human male and female. Hence, it is called the muscular copulatory organ. And next, it discharges sperms when stimulated. Now, since it is muscular in nature, so it tends to become hard, and the tube inside the penis will ejaculate the sperms outside. That is, it will ejaculate the sperm outside, means inside the female's body for effective sexual reproduction. And penis is also known as the male external genitalia because it exposes the sperm to the exterior. And it is the, that is it. Next, we have the urethra. Can you see the urethra? This is the urethra. This is also like a tube-like structure, and it is a common passage both for the sperms and urine. That means the sperm will also come out through this, and the urine will also come out from this same tube-like structure. And it originates from the urinary bladder, and it opens to the exterior through an opening called the urethral meatus. It opens to the exterior through the opening called urethral meatus. Now, besides the reproductive organs, we also have reproductive glands. There are basically 3 reproductive glands in the males. The first one is the seminal vesicle or the seminal vesicle, whichever you like it. What is its function? Its function is to secrete alkaline and viscous seminal fluid that enters in the vas deferens. The secretion forms 60% of semen plasma, and it contains fructose, calcium, and prostaglandin. Now here, fructose acts as a source of energy for the sperm. That means it is only from the fructose that sperm will get energy. It is produced only in the seminal vesicles, and you will not find fructose anywhere else. And it is this seminal vesicles or the fructose that helps in doing a forensic test in case of any rape cases. Next, we have the prostate gland. It secretes a milky fluid that helps in the sperm's mobility. Its secretion forms up to 30% of the semen. It is this prostate gland that helps the sperm to be mobile or to be able to move. And the secretion provides nutrition to sperm and increases their motility. That means this secretion, this milky fluid or this prostate gland will help the sperm to be well nourished, and it will enable the sperm to move faster. Next is the Cowper's gland. These glands are of the size of a pea seed and secrete an alkaline fluid which coats urethra before the release of sperms so that it can neutralize acids of the urine. Now let's go back to the previous picture and see the seminal vesicle. This is the seminal vesicle. It is here that the alkaline viscous fluid is being produced. And next is the prostate gland. This is the prostate gland. Here the milky fluid is secreted, and this is where the sperm is being nourished. And last is the Cooper's gland, which is also known as the bulbourethral gland. It is called a bulbourethral gland because this bulbourethral gland, it looks like two bulbs and is present very close to the urethra. So that is why it is known as the bulbourethral gland. Now there's one thing common in these three glands, that is they give out some secretion, and the secretion from these glands forms the seminal plasma, and this seminal plasma is rich in fructose and calcium and enzymes. So when the fluid is secreted, that means not just sperm, but it also carries along with it all the various secretions from these three glands. That means don't think that only the sperm is secreted. Along with the sperm, these secretions are also secreted by these three glands. And that means, in other words, you can say everything that is secreted comes along with the sperm. Now let's see the internal structure of testes. I have given you a little bit of explanation about testes, but it is important for us to see the internal structure of testes as well. So the first one is it forms a protective covering. What is the protective covering known as? It is also known as the tunica or tunica or whatever you call it. And it has got the three parts: tunica vaginalis, tunica albuginea, and tunica vasculosa. These three things combined forms the protective covering of the testes. Next, second is the testicular. It has testis has got around 250 compartments. It has got around 250 compartments, and these compartments are called testicular. And then it has 1 to 3 highly coiled seminiferous tubules. These are the seminiferous tubules. They are all coiled. So now we will see the seminiferous tubules. Each seminiferous tubule is lined with a single layer of germinal epithelium, and the male germs are called the spermatocytes. It is the male germ that is called the spermatocytes. Next, we have the Leydig cells. It is present outside the seminiferous tubules. We have the Leydig cells that is present outside the seminiferous tubules, and they are small groups, and then they are polygonal cells. These cells are called the Leydig cells. What is the function of the Leydig cells? They synthesize and secrete male hormones called the androgens. Now, what are androgens? Androgens are nothing but this is a kind of hormone that controls the male sexual accessory ducts and the reproductive glands. Next, we have the retrotestis. Retrotestis is formed of a network of tubules, and it carries sperms from seminiferous tubules to vas efferentia, and it provides site for fluid reabsorption. That means a sperm will get more concentrated. Had there been no retrotestis, then the sperm will not be concentrated. And if the sperm is not concentrated, that means it will result in infertility of a man. That means it is very, very important that the sperm is concentrated. And in order for the sperm to be concentrated, we need the retrotestis. So that is all for today. We will come back again in the next class with a new topic. Till then, stay home, stay safe, and save lives.